Katy Perry is one of the best-selling artists of all time. She's a princess of pop with 9 #1 hits. Perry is the first solo female artist to have 5 #1 singles from one album.
There are moments in a celebrity's life where everything seems to be going in the wrong direction at once. Not just one bad headline, not just one rough week, but a full, sustained spiral where each new development seems to make the last one feel small. That is where Katy Perry finds herself right now. And the more you look at the full picture, the clearer it becomes that what is happening to her goes far deeper than a single controversy or a single comment online. This is a story that has been building for years, and right now, it has reached a point where it cannot be ignored. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to what started it all. In April 2026, a music publication called Complex shared a post on Threads about Justin Bieber's debut as a Coachella headliner. Bieber had delivered what many called a milestone performance, incorporating old YouTube clips of his teenage years into the show, giving longtime fans a full-circle moment. Katy Perry, who was at Coachella herself that weekend alongside her new partner Justin Trudeau, responded on Instagram with a quick, sarcastic joke about being glad Bieber had a streaming premium subscription so she could skip the ads. It was playful and casual. It was exactly the kind of offhand humor she has always been known for. But that joke would not land the way she expected. The post was picked up and reshared widely when actress Ruby Rose, known for her work on Orange as a new black and Batgirl, stepped in with a response that was nothing like the light-hearted back-and-forth people expected. According to reporting from CNN, Variety, and The Hollywood Reporter, Rose wrote publicly on Threads that Perry had sexually assaulted her at the Spice Market nightclub in Melbourne, Australia, back in 2010. What had started as a playful moment at a music festival had suddenly become one of the most serious celebrity stories of the year. Rose described the alleged incident in specific detail, saying she had been resting on her best friend's lap when the encounter occurred. She said she was only in her early 20s at the time, and that it had taken nearly 2 decades for her to feel ready to speak about it publicly. She wrote that the delay was itself a reflection of the weight that trauma can carry for so long before someone finds the words and the courage to address it. Katy Perry's team moved quickly. Within 48 hours, her representative released a formal statement, confirmed by both Variety and ABC News, describing Rose's allegations as categorically false and dangerous, reckless lies. The statement did not stop there. It also pointed to what it described as Rose's well-documented history of making serious public allegations on social media against various individuals, claims that have repeatedly been denied by those named. The language was sharp and deliberate. Every phrase was chosen with precision. Words like categorically false leave no room for middle ground, and the reference to a pattern of behavior clearly signals that Perry's team was thinking beyond just this one statement. But then, quietly and unexpectedly, the situation crossed a line that changed everything. Victoria Police in Australia confirmed to multiple major outlets, including Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and CNN, that detective from the Melbourne Sexual Offences and Child Abuse Investigation Team, known as SOSIT, had opened an investigation into what they described as a historical sexual assault that allegedly occurred in Melbourne's Central Business District in 2010. The investigation was formally underway, and critically, officials in Victoria confirmed to TMZ that there is no statute of limitations on prosecuting serious crimes in that state. The law, as explained by Jacqueline Harris from Victoria's Office of Public Prosecution, is that the legislation in effect at the time of the alleged offense applies, meaning the passage of time alone does not close the door on prosecution. No charges have been filed, and no formal findings have been made. But the fact that authorities confirmed an active investigation changed the nature of this story entirely. Ruby Rose, for her part, later confirmed on Threads that she had walked into a police station to formalize her reports. She wrote that she had finalized all of my reports and could no longer comment publicly on the matter or on the individuals involved. She added that this felt like a relief in its own way, and that she could begin focusing on her own healing. With both sides now largely silent, and the matter in the hands of investigators, the conversation shifted from social media debate to something far more serious. What makes all of this even harder to fully assess is a column that Ruby Rose herself published back in 2011 with news.com.au. That piece, which has resurfaced extensively since the allegations went public, describes a chaotic night out in Melbourne during the same general time period. In it, Rose wrote about drinking heavily after a period of sobriety, crashing a Year 12 school formal with Perry, and ultimately vomiting on Perry's foot. The tone of that column was one of personal reflection and even humor. She wrote about the night as a low point that pushed her towards sobriety, not as something traumatic. She even wrote the word "nothing horrific happened" to describe the evening. The resurfacing of that column has added a layer of complexity that investigators and the public alike are grappling with. It does not answer any of the central questions, and it does not prove or disprove anything. But it does show how the same night can be experienced, remembered, and described very differently depending on where someone is in their life when they look back at it. At the same time, older allegations against Perry began circulating again across social media, drawing renewed attention. Josh Kloss, the model and actor who appeared as Perry's love interest in the music video for Teenage Dream back in 2010, spoke with Page Six in April 2026 about claims he first made publicly in an Instagram post in 2019. In that interview, as reported by Page Six and covered by outlets including People, Kloss said he has carried what he described as silent trauma for nearly 14 years following an alleged incident at a birthday party for celebrity stylist Johnny Wujek in Glendale, California in 2012. He alleged that when he arrived at the party with a friend and was in the process of making introductions, Perry pulled down his pants and underwear, exposing him in front of others. He described feeling shocked and humiliated in the moment. When he first came forward in 2019, those close to Perry pushed back firmly. Wujek publicly denied the claim, and another member of Perry's circle described Kloss as an obsessed fan. Kloss told Page Six that those responses only added to the difficulty of the experience. He said he had hoped at some point for a private acknowledgement, nothing elaborate, just something that recognized what happened and showed growth. That acknowledgement never came. He was clear that his decision to speak again was not about retaliation. It was, in his words, about finally saying something that had been sitting with him for a very long time. Perry has never directly addressed Kloss's specific allegation. In a 2020 interview with The Guardian, she spoke in broader terms about the challenges of public accusations in the social media era, saying, "We live in a world where anyone can say anything," and expressing concern about headlines moving faster than facts. She said she chose not to chase every claim because doing so would turn her entire life into a cycle of denying and rebutting. That response, which was measured and philosophical at the time, has since been revisited by many observers now that the situation has escalated into a formal police matter. And throughout all of this, Perry was already navigating a period that had already been difficult by almost any measure. Her 2024 album, 143, received some of the most negative critical reviews of her career. Variety described it as flat, writing that she struggles to reclaim past glory, and USA Today noted that critics widely call the record mindless and uninspired. It currently stands as one of the worst reviewed albums of the decade by critical consensus. Her decision to work with producer Dr. Luke drew sustained backlash given his highly publicized legal history with Kesha, and the lead single faced immediate and significant online criticism over its messaging. In April 2025, Perry joined the all-female Blue Origin spaceflight organized by Jeff Bezos, a moment that was intended to celebrate female empowerment but instead generated weeks of pointed criticism and mockery online. A few months later, her relationship with Orlando Bloom ended after nearly a decade together. Then came her newly public relationship with Justin Trudeau, confirmed when the two were photographed together in matching white outfits at Coachella, which attracted its own wave of commentary and attention. The one undeniable bright spot in this period has been the Lifetime's tour, which ran through 2025 and generated significant revenue. But even that success has not been enough to fully restore her standing with critics or quiet to the noise surrounding her public image. Perry herself acknowledged the turbulence in a lengthy Instagram post marking the 1-year anniversary of the album's release, writing that she was done forcing things in her career and reflecting openly on how difficult the past year had been. The pace at which all of this is happening is part of what makes it so overwhelming to follow. What began as a sarcastic comment underneath a post about Coachella has, in the span of a few weeks, grown into a formal law enforcement investigation in another country, a resurfacing of years-old allegations from multiple individuals, and a sustained public debate about accountability, memory, and the distance between what trends online and what actually happened. The fact that our firmly established remain limited. Ruby Rose made a detailed public allegation. Katy Perry's team has denied it completely and forcefully. Victoria Police confirmed an active investigation into a 2010 incident in Melbourne. Josh Kloss has renewed his previously stated claims. Everything else is still being examined or remains unresolved. This is where the story stands. Not at a conclusion, but at a turning point where public opinion matters far less than what investigators ultimately find. Evidence, witness accounts, and legal processes move at their own pace, and they are not shaped by trending topics or viral threads. For everyone watching, the temptation is to draw conclusions now. But the reality is that the most important answers are still ahead. What is clear is that Katy Perry is facing a moment unlike anything she has experienced before in her career, and the path forward from here is anything but certain.